Hello, it's time for Dr. Fixmaster. Today we're going to talk about a couple of things that will make your swamp cooler last twice as long. Because it works on evaporation, it needs a reservoir of water in the bottom of it, and as a result of that, you get corrosion. So they're usually painted, but it helps to put a coating of this submarine cooler coating. You can get that at Lowe's or Home Depot. As often as that starts to chip away or wear away, you want the bottom reservoir area of your swamp cooler to be covered with this stuff so that you don't get rust through. Now there's another thing, that there's really not much to maintaining one of these, but I think it tends to get ignored. That's just one thing. Think about how a swamp cooler operates. It pumps water from the reservoir up to the top. It's distributed around and dripped through these pads where air is sucked through, where the evaporation takes place. Now, when you do that over a period of an entire summer, what happens when you evaporate from water a lot? Well, you evaporate the water, and all the minerals in the water are left behind. So what that equals is a bunch of salt. Salt is the enemy, and over a period of a summer, your water in your reservoir will become more and more salty, and to the point where it's extremely salty at the end, and it becomes very, very corrosive, just like the road salt wreaks havoc onto the undercarriage of your car. Same thing with a swamp cooler. And this is a swamp cooler that I've had for just a few years, but you can already see that as a result of all the salt that gets in here, you can see that the salt is attacking the metal right there on the spindle for the blower motor. You can see just salt deposits all around. Even though I've coated it with the tar, there's still salt everywhere. So part of your maintenance should be to scrape off or scrub off or sponge off as much of that salt as possible, probably once a season, because you don't want it to start out salty. You want it to start out nice and fresh. Even up here, you can see on the motor, exposed metal has become started to corrode as a result of the salt. So part of your annual maintenance should be to get as much of that salt off as possible. You can see salt attacking the pulley there as well. A little bit of rust starting to come through on the paint. So these things have a finite lifetime. If you are fastidious about removing the salt every so often, your swamp coolers will last a lot more. It's important to look at these pads too. Look at these pads. Look at the amount of salt accumulation you can see inside of those. There is salt encrusted all through these, so those pads ought to be replaced maybe every year, actually. Just if for no other reason than to just get the salt out of them. And if you don't replace them outright, they should at very least be hosed off with fresh water once a year to just to get the salt off of there. These real aspen pads will crumble and decay over time anyway, and should probably be replaced as often as you can see this stuff just breaking and crumbling. You can see if I zoom up here close, there is a lot of salt in these things at the end of the season. So that's about it.